I'm just gonna we know what we're gonna talk about.
I'm so tired though. I'm God's sleepiest soldier, bro. God's sleepiest soldier.
Tasked with the hardest nappy times.
Israel Adesanya fans with Sean Strickland wins.
Literally. Oh,
Was your voice recovered from screaming about Sean Strickland?
a little bit, yeah.
He's like, oh, you want?
Oh god, I almost just started making myself cry.
Your eyes are watering. How did you do that?
Because I can make myself cry on command.
Male manipulators be like, you're women's worst enemy. What the fuck is a kilometer? It's so funny.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to
Brutal.
the MMA podcast.
I don't know how to feel anymore.
I do. Pure joy.
No, I'm pretty happy.
Pure fucking joy.
I'm very happy for Sean Strickland. I'm very happy for Sean Strickland.
And I'm glad it wasn't a submission.
Yeah.
I said submission. Dude, I'm so glad it wasn't.
The decision, it made it less of a fluke.
Yeah.
It showed that he outclassed Israel Adesanya.
He just is better.
Sean Strickland is better.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Right now, we're going to talk about the card, which was crazy.
This is one of the best cards I've ever seen in my entire life. Prelims up until the main card, consistently amazing.
It was just
fights.
good every time.
There wasn't a single bad fight from the beginning of the prelims to the end of the main card.
And honestly, that was the best for me. That was absolutely the best card I've ever seen.
It was an amazing card. I have some other cards that are up there with it, so I'd have to really, because I have recency bias right now, for me, that is the best card I've watched. But also, there's some other cards, like when Francis Ngannou fought Stipe Miocic. I remember that card was mental. I remember I was standing up in my living room, pacing around, and that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that one still resonates in my mind, so I don't know if that's that caliber. But this is definitely up there with it. So I'd have to rewatch and really,
Yeah, I'm a little newer, so I'm like, like only maybe 2 years, probably a year and a half now, maybe something like that. So out of all the cards, that was easily the best by far. Every single fight consistently was good. There wasn't a single fight that was just like boring or like a sleeper fight, which we've seen those. We've seen cards like that. So
too many.
I mean. Yeah, we started it out, I think, with the first one, which, I started watching as well, which was the Nasrat versus Landon fight, the Quinones fight.
Quinones came off a tough. He lost in tough, but they gave him a UFC contract. They gave him a shot. He did well. He landed he was eating a lot of shots and giving a lot back. Nasrat just was one step ahead the entire fight.
Yeah, I will say, though, Nasrat was fucked up by the end of it.
Absolutely.
His face was completely fucked up. There was just they were taking damage from both sides. They both had great chins.
Debutants were 0-2 tonight, I believe, from prelims up. I don't know about early prelims.
But they both went to decision.
They both went to decision, and they both showed amazing heart and showed they belong in the UFC.
Yeah,
they deserve
for sure, sure. And I'm excited to see what Landon does in the future, because I think that'll be
a good fighter. It's fun to watch. Go on the feet, go on the floor.
For sure. No, I was happy to see that. And next, we had the Malarkey fight.
A whole lot of Malarkey in that fight. No, it was a good fight. James Malarkey versus John Makdessi. I thought Makdessi did enough to secure every round, in my opinion. There was two that were close, and I guess the two that were close, the refs or the judges gave to Malarkey. I like Malarkey more. He's a lot younger. He has a lot more talent, in my opinion. So I think this propels his career forward. So it's good. Maybe he'll get a better test in his next fight. But Makdessi's a little bit older. He's been in the UFC for a long time, at least 8 years, at least. Mm-hmm. So he's on the end of his career anyway, so it's okay, I think, that he kind of goes out this way. He might maybe get one more fight, but I don't see him lasting a whole lot longer. He hasn't won in a long time, so...
yeah, no, that makes sense. But it was an interesting thing to see Malarkey for the first time. I've never seen him before, so yeah. I mean, it definitely wasn't bad. So we'll see him. I'm assuming soon.
Yeah, and then we had Jack Jenkins and Chip Mariscal.
I feel bad for Jenkins, dude.
Super unfortunate. The whole first round with Jack Jenkins, he was landing combos. He was getting that leg kick in there. He was already wobbling on his leg, Cheppy. And then Cheppy had Cheppy's known for his judo throws. He does these all the time. He did it like 4 times in his UFC debut. And, I mean, he uses it well. I didn't like his attitude, Cheppy. When he did the judo throw, he noticed that he broke his arm, and he goes to stand up and he smacks him like a hammer fist on the back of his head. And I'm like,
I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
that's annoying.
The ref was kind of covering it, but so second he smacks him in the back of the head, and he stands up. He's putting his hands up, and he's cheering. And then the crowd didn't like that too much, so they were booing. And I think it was rightful because I understand he did get a TKO. He did do the judo throw, which did dislocate his arm, but he wasn't planning on doing that. And it's another thing, like he was losing that whole fight. He was getting pieced up. So I mean that second round was starting to go his way because he was landing more on the fence, but he's kind of just hugging. And Jack Jenkins is known to unleash more in the third, so it sucks he wasn't able to go to that. And I hope Jack Jenkins heals up soon and gets back in.
Did they say what happened to him yet?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. I mean, just so you guys know, when he did the judo throw, he basically he threw his arm out to go and try and catch himself, and something happened. It looked like with his fucking elbow snapped, and it just
I don't know. So. Something snapped, something dislocated, something uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he was unable to continue the fight, and that was clear.
That was
and
unfortunate.
He tapped and verbally tapped also, and then Cheppy still continued to hit him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So I don't like seeing guys like that. I mean, Cheppy has a lot of skill, but needs to humble himself. I hope someone humbles him in his next fight, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. I hope so too. And next we got the Oberg fight versus
the Black Jag, the man from The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus Jung Da-un. And Jung Da-un did really good, honestly. He had a really good fight. I think he had the second round going his way, but the first was all Carlos Oberg. He started landing that leg kick that really started damaging Oberg in the second round, where he started to wobble on it a little bit. But he took advantage of the fact that he was focusing so much on his leg that Carlos Oberg started landing with the hands really well. And flurried at the end of the round, and then ended up getting his back, was hitting it with punches, his face was all bloodied up, and then got a rear naked choke while he was fully mounted.
On top of him.
On top of him, fully mounted, flattened out, and he pulls it as hard as he can, and Herb Dean didn't catch it, but he had his head down on the right side of the mat looking if he was conscious. He was conscious the whole time, but he tapped with his left hand like this, and you couldn't see it. He was tapping. Tapped like 5 or 6 times.
That makes sense. Yeah, and it was weird because they said he was, out. Someone was saying that he was out. I don't think he was.
I don't think he was out.
Yeah.
But they didn't call it out. They said it was a decision. So when the bell went off, they got up. Dan Jung was still fucked up, though. Yeah. He didn't get up for a long time.
That was the thing is you guys were saying he was still on the ground. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Because what happened was as soon as the bell went off and he got up, he let go. He gets up, and Jung just, sits up. Or not sits up, but he goes on all fours, and he's up off the floor. And then 30 seconds later, he's on the ground again.
I don't think he understood how fucked up he was.
Maybe. So, that might have been it. He might have, just, gotten up and then, Yeah. So, but it was an interesting fight, and it was very rare to see an overturn like that where they kind of change. They go, holy shit, no, he did tap.
Yeah.
And, But
I check the replay, and if you tap, you tap.
Yeah.
So, it's happened before. Then from there, we go into the main card and head off the main card. We had Tyson Pedro versus
the pleasure man Anton.
And this is the first time I've ever seen Tyson Pedro say, I'm not friends with this guy. I don't like this guy. I want to kill this guy. Because Tyson Pedro, what he likes to do after every fight? He likes to go out and have a pint with the guy he fought. Mm-hmm. He likes to go have a drink. He's a good guy, sweet guy. But he didn't like how Anton was talking. The pleasure man, real awkward, made the whole thing awkward.
That was such an awkward fucking ordeal.
The guy's generally just weird and disrespectful. So I understand why Tyson wasn't really, fucking with it.
What it seemed like is it was like Anton was trying to
rile him up.
He was trying to play this character, but he's not a good actor.
No, not at
all.
So
it just seemed like it was like that awkward kid in high school who makes a your mom joke to you without realizing that it was genuinely just simply disrespectful and not funny in the slightest.
My roommate does that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm sure that's fun.
I'm like, your mom's fucking ugly. You're like, what the fuck do you mean? He's like, it was a joke, man. That's not a fucking joke. That's just mean.
Where's the funny? The funny. Where is it?
Yeah. That's obviously a fake example. But
that's
how people think that's a joke.
It just seemed like he was trying to make a joke.
We know a lot of autistic people, and that's an autistic ass tendency.
Yeah, that is a very autistic tendency.
It makes sense because his name's a pleasure man. I mean,
I couldn't tell if it was a language
autistic.
Thing. Yeah.
Fits right in with us.
I was that was the first time I've ever seen him, and I gotta say I'm not super.
He's I think he's only lost in the UFC.
Really?
I think he's 0-3 or he's 1-3.
So probably, I think he gets out if he loses again, probably.
Oh yeah, if he loses another one, yeah. But I mean, he was on the main card. He entertained in the press conference. So he's not doing everything wrong. So.
So on to the next fight.
Justin Tafa versus Austin Lane.
Thank God.
So,
thank God.
What did we say about clapping? You peeking the mics. You bitch. Tyson Pedro. We just finished that one. Sorry. Justin Tafa, Austin Lane.
Thank God.
Austin Lane in their last fight. This is a rematch between the two. Austin Lane, raked his eyes multiple times, and then the third time completely stuck his hand in his eye. And
it was the worst eye poke
I've ever seen. He's bleeding from his eyes. Eye was bruised, and he could not continue to fight. And to start off this fight, first thing Austin Lane does, rakes his eyes. So they stop the action. They walk over to Austin Lane. Don't do that shit again. Don't do that shit again. You'll get a point taken the very next time you do that. Okay. And Justin Tafa gets in there and starts swinging. He's mad. So he just starts throwing bombs. Bombs! Oppenheimer in the building, man. Like, just bang, bang, bang. And then
my God.
Landed the right overhand, dropped him, and then, Justin Tafa, he's known for walk-off KOs. He punches you in the head and walks away. But this time, punched him in the head, followed him to the ground, and landed the ground and pound.
He literally, like, he knocks him to the ground, and he, like, looks at him for a second, and you see him, like, he could have stopped, and he was like, nah. And then he just went to the ground and started fucking beating the shit out of him. It was so satisfying after that last fight. I was so happy to see that he just, like, put him down.
Tafa gang. Yeah, the two Tafa brothers, I love watching them fight. They get a knockout, like, every fight.
No, exactly.
Two of my favorite heavyweights. I want them to fight each other. Imagine they both become ranks and they fight each other.
God,
Tell me that would be
entertaining. They could do that.
They probably wouldn't. They never really have family members or anyone that's friends
like
fighting
good
in
friends.
UFC.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But
the only fight I ever saw where it was two good friends, it was on a tough season, and what ended up happening was a guy got body shot and he got hurt and he bent over like this. They were actually friends and they're having a really good fight, intense fight. I think it was tough, and he bends over like this and he's clutching his stomach, and he sees the guy coming in and he throws an overhand right and knocks him unconscious while he's keeled over.
That's crazy. That's gotta be fucking insane.
And that's the only time I've ever seen like genuinely good friends fight each other. And I was like, I want to see that again.
That just seems sad. It's like
a little bit upsetting, but the thing is, after you fight each other, you just go, you just hang out, have a pint, you chill out, with your buddy.
There's guaranteed sportsmanship. You know, it's like
as long as you're a good person.
No, absolutely.
And then from there, Menel Cape or Cop, however you want to say it, versus Felipe Dos Santos. Shoot box, stand the fuck up. Every single fighter I have watched that's come out of shoot box Diego Lima in the last 4 years, any person, because that's when they've really been coming out. You got Ellis Brenner, you've got Daniel Dos Santos, Daniel Santos, you've got Felipe Dos Santos, you've got there's another one that's in my mind right now, but there's another one.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
another blonde haired.
They all do the same. They all have that
blonde hair, and they all kick ass. There's two other actually. It's Lacerda, Daniel Lacerda, and then there's one more. There's actually one more, but they've all been in the UFC. Go to any one of their fights. Look up their names. Look up on Shoot Box de Lima, or it's a Shoot Box Diego Lima, not De Lima. Look up any of their fighters that are in the UFC. Every single one of those fighters that's had a fight in the UFC has had some of the most entertaining. They're always performing to the night, always, and they've been again this night. But the fight of the night, this last card was Felipe Dos Santos and Menel Cape.
So they did get fight of the night.
They did get fight of the night.
Thank God. Yeah. That was a solid fight.
Flyweights. It's funny. I was at a bar / restaurant with my dad, and he looks over at me and goes, "That's a flyweight fight on the main card." I'm like, just you wait. You got one of the best strikers in flyweight in Cop, and you've got a up and comer that's from Shootbox, who's 23 years old, in Felipe Dos Santos. God. And he's like, okay, like he didn't really believe me. He's like, all right, whatever, we'll see. And then we watched it, and he was freaking out. Yeah,
because it was just the whole time there was action. He wasn't even like taking him to the ground. It was just like the entire time they were up, fucking. Just
when there was a clinch, Felipe Dos Santos threw the knees. He was throwing elbows. His counter strike was really good. He'd eat a punch and throw one back, and that's what I really liked. There was a point where he came down from a kick, and as he was falling down, threw a right hand, landed flush on his face, Manel Cape looked worse for wear than Felipe did by the end of the fight.
I agree. Yeah.
And I mean, the first round was all Felipe, in my opinion. It was pretty close, but judges gave it to Felipe too. Yeah. But 2 and 3 were all Cop.
No, it made sense why the decision was the way it was.
6 days notice.
Yeah. No, on that
6
too.
days
that
notice
was crazy.
For Felipe dos Santos. It was 6 days to 2 weeks. It's somewhere between that range.
I think they said it was 6 days. I think it was something like
Didn't have a lot of time to prepare. Cut weight after cutting weight 2 weeks ago for Contender Series because they made him not fight because his opponent missed weight, and then he came over to fight Manel Cop that soon after. He got medically cleared and everything. And to start that way, I mean, give him a ranked opponent next. Yeah. Again, give him another one, and I bet I'll beat him, and then he'll be a ranked flyweight, and it'll be nice because you'll have a contender in for shoot box. You'll have one in lightweight, you'll have one in bantamweight, and you'll have one in flyweight. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what Elvis Brenner is. He might be a featherweight, so that might be all 4. That might be the 4 in a row. That flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight. Elvis Brenner is a 145er or a 170er. I can't remember. It's somewhere in that range.
That's a big range.
No, it's 145. He fought Groom Kutladze, who's a 145er.
Okay.
So that would be there's a contender in every one of those ranks because they beat Daniel Santos. I always say Dos Santos because Felipe Dos Santos.
Yeah.
But Daniel Santos just recently beat a top contender. He wasn't ranked, but a top contender. And then he also beat John Castaneda. That's 2 finishes in a row. And then you've got Felipe Dos Santos, who just proved himself to be one of the greater flyweights. And on short notice, without a full camp.
Like, imagine if he had, the month's notice.
Yeah.
And he was able to do everything that he could before that fight. I think he probably would have won.
I think so, too. Yeah. And then you've got Elvis Brenner, who just recently beat Groom Kutladze, who's beaten 2 of the top-ranked lightweights. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Charles Oliveira, who's about to fight for the belt and beat Islam Makhachev.
I see it happening.
I see it happening, too. I think it's the year of shoot box. I think you're going to get a bunch of shoot box guys going in there. It's going to be like Russia versus Brazil.
Yeah.
And those are some of my favorite fighters.
We're gonna have Sean O'Malley.
Pure excitement
versus
Sean
Strickland. We're gonna
pure
have
fundamentals.
Charles Oliveira.
Oh my God.
And then you never know, but we could have
Colby. Yeah. That one graphic floating around where this could be reality. It's looking closer to
happening.
Being reality than
it's a joke. Fucking happening.
It's coming from a joke to a reality, which is crazy because they were both underdogs in this fight. Sugar Sean O'Malley and Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
So also just want to mention Manel Cop with the slur, the homophobic slur.
That was so weird because it was like
he's been a villain recently. He's been a total villain.
I mean, it fits him. With him.
I don't like him. I think he's a bit disrespectful. When he got in the cage, the whole crowd booed him. But I mean, it fits his personality. I think he's not. I think he's he's one of the only examples in the UFC of a bad guy trying to be a bad guy. Like he's just being himself.
Yeah.
Like John Jones is a bad guy trying to be a good guy. That's a perfect example, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Manel Cape just doesn't care. And honestly, I respect him for it.
I mean, I'm surprised he even fucking apologized. I don't know why he didn't apologize. Yeah, he did.
No, Ratke did.
No, Cape in the interview was like, "Yeah, I got heated. I'm sorry."
He was like, "I'm sorry for getting heated," but he still said it.
Yeah,
I think everyone has to apologize for if you say that.
No, you don't. Dana literally
he's saying I don't give a shit. But you have to if you want to have a chance of sponsorships.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. But yeah, I get it. I just surprised, But it wasn't actually that bad as a lot of people are freaking out about. But
it's free speech. Just say what you want, bro.
I honestly couldn't give less of a shit.
After that, we had a crazy submission from Volkov.
God, that was interesting. That was such an interesting fight.
Ezekiel choke from top mount. Right? I've done Ezekiel choke from bottom mount, but top mount's really wild to do. I mean, got here, Ezekiel choke in, and just squeezed. And you could see Ty start to struggle and then slaps. He slaps taps. So he's done. He's like, get me out of here. Tai Tuivasa looked like a fish out of water that whole fight.
Yeah, I mean, he had one up on him basically the whole time.
Volkov was landing combos. Was doing very well. I mean, Tai Tuivasa is a tough motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And he's, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. I mean, those guys, they you look at the fights that happened today. They all were, tough as shit.
Yeah,
they're tough as nails.
I think he was there to get knocked out or to knock out. Okay. And he wasn't. I don't even think Volkov was expecting the submission.
No, but when he got to the ground, Ty was like a fish out of water. And
He got full mount, and then Ty kind of was able to get on his back, and it was just like, I think it was like 3 separate times that Volkov got full mount, which was crazy, and it was just like, yeah.
Ty wasn't moving his hips well.
Doing well.
His jiu-jitsu wasn't really there. Just needs to train that more. I hope I see Ty again soon, but he has some stuff to work on before he can really be a contender again. Because he's out of the pool now. So
is he really?
Well, he's like out of the pool in the way of like he's now top 7. He was top 6 before. Volkov just took his spot.
Now he's top 7. Yeah.
I don't really consider that up there anymore. How do you feel about the facial hair?
It looks good.
You think so?
It does look good. Yeah. No, I think it fits you really well.
I think usually it doesn't fit me, but I think it's the clean shade that doesn't fit me.
I think leaving
a little bit of something,
leaving the stubble so that way you have it there,
older.
and then like I think it fits with your hair as well and your build.
Yeah.
So it genuinely just looks like you're like a 24, 25-year-old who's just kind of.
I'll take it.
Chilling,
But I'll take it.
Yeah. And somehow I'm older than you.
You are?
Yeah.
How much old are you?
By like your birthday is
May
14th, so I'm 3 months older than you by on the dot. I forgot. 3.
Oh.
Because I'm. Oh wait, no, 2. Sorry, because Caitlin is February 14th. I'm March 14th. You're May 14th.
That's right. Okay.
That's what it was. Yeah. So. Anyways, on to the main event. Oh, I'm so happy.
Sean Strickland.
Dude,
I get every time I say the words Sean Strickland, I just hear the eagle sound effect.
Rah,
rah. Just the comments going rah.
Dude, oh my god, it was so good. It was a good fight the whole fucking time.
Sean Strickland dominated.
And
imagine saying that. He dominated in a decision.
He outclassed Israel Adesanya,
who's considered the greatest striker in UFC history.
Yeah, in striking. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, that means that Sean Strickland is the greatest.
By default, technically, the greatest striker right now is Sean Strickland.
Fuck all of you guys. He just is the greatest striker in UFC history. Sean Strickland is
the greatest striker in UFC history.
We're not wrong.
It's just facts.
And you know what?
And if you disagree, you're wrong.
And guess what? Could have been a knockout. Could have been a submission. No. He went 5 fucking rounds with the greatest striker in UFC history. He went 5 full rounds, dominated him in 4 of them. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, that's crazy. And it was just like I was the first round that he caught him. He absolutely caught the fucking shit out of Izzy.
It was a perfect one
with a perfect 1-2.
He was so worried about the left that when the right came through, it landed flush.
Yeah, and it was just like, it was so satisfying seeing Izzy throw the left hook, and as he was throwing it, fucking Sean threw the right and dodged the left hook at the same time, caught him out, and started pounding him. And any other fight... Whoa. Resume. No. Any other fight, you would have absolutely seen a stoppage there.
Mm-hmm.
But... the ref did what he should have, which was let it go on and give Izzy a chance to fight for his belt.
And he did. Second round, honestly, was the only round Izzy won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for sure.
The reason Izzy won that round and what Izzy should have taken from that round is don't think about the counters. Because that's Izzy, the whole... So the thing was, they kind of switched places for a second. The whole first round, Izzy was worried about Sean's counters so much that he wasn't throwing his own offense. And in the second round, he threw caution to the wind to try and get back into it. And he just started throwing his own combinations without the worry of Sean Strickland's counters, right? And then the third round, he went right back to being afraid of them.
To it, yeah.
So the thing is, that's why he's backing up so much. Backing up is exhausting. It's exhausting. And after getting dropped, you're exhausted, you're tired, you don't have your wits about you fully. And Izzy just couldn't get back into the fight.
Izzy was just moving around like just constantly the whole time, dancing around, and he was against someone who is notorious for his pressure and for his gas tank. Gas tank. Sean Strickland has an insane gas tank.
He didn't never get gas after that 5th round.
It was the 5th round. He was screaming at him. He knew he won. Sean Strickland by the 5th round, by the last 30 seconds, knew he won. And so he was just screaming at him, "You bitch!" Fucking just yelling at him.
Me.
Yeah, fight me, come on. And he was screaming at him. And it was hilarious because it was just like, it was so satisfying to see how not only was he was playing that so smart the whole time, where he wasn't moving very much. He was keeping the pressure on, but as Izzy was moving left and right and going around the edge of the ring, he was
cutting him off and falling.
Yeah, he was cutting him off, and he was just tiptoeing the whole time. He wasn't moving very much. Izzy was throwing leg kicks over and over again. He was just little dodges,
checking them. He checked half a lot of leg kicks.
Yeah, he was checking the leg kick, which that's another thing. They kept counting the fucking checked leg kicks.
I see the good strikes, yeah.
And it was stupid.
Well, no, you have to look at it from a statistics point. You're getting kicked in the leg, it's a significant strike. Regardless if they check it or not, they have to count it. They have to.
I mean, I think John was talking to me about Joe Rogan's reaction to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Joe Rogan even said they shouldn't count that.
I understand, but it's hard to count it when you're watching you're just a statistics counter. You see a jab land, right? And maybe as the jab's coming, he backs it like this, so it lightly grazes. That's still a significant strike. If a strike lands while standing, it is automatically a significant strike. That's just how statistics work. Mm-hmm. It's not actually a significant strike. It's just some strike that, he kicked him. But he was checking it. Like, for example, when Alex Pereira fought Israel, he was checking all of Izzy's leg kicks. All of them. And landing more of his own. But they were still equal on the leg strikes because a lot of them were being checked. So it's just look at it from think about watching that fight and seeing the kicks, and you have to determine which ones he checked, which ones he didn't, which ones where he barely put his foot up versus where he did this and fully checked it. There's so much nuances to it. It'd be really hard to say it's significant.
I guess in real time, you're right.
Yeah.
It was just baffling because after the first round or during the first round, towards the end, they showed the significant strikes, and it was Strickland 30 and Izzy with 2, and I was like, that makes
for the
sense.
head strikes, it was crazy.
It was crazy. No,
Sean Strickland's defense of that Philly shell worked really well for him.
Yeah,
it worked amazingly.
It was amazing, and
he was extremely intelligent, which is very surprising because against a guy like Alex Pereira, it didn't work at all. So it's very surprising it worked against Israel Adesanya, but not only did it work, it was so efficient. I think at some point they showed a graphic where it said Israel landed 10 of 113 strikes to the head.
Yeah,
maybe
I think I saw the percentage was 13 or 12 or something.
A very low percentage.
And then you had Strickland at 40.
Yeah.
And it was Strickland was also throwing a lot. Izzy was throwing a ton of strikes. He was just throwing shit. And a lot of them were missing.
Yeah.
Most of them
he was too focused on what Strickland would do to him. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I don't understand a lot of champions. When they're down and they go into that 5th round and they don't show any sense of urgency, it makes me question them.
He never at one point switched his shit up.
Israel had a much better chance than Sean Strickland ever did if he just made a dogfight. Mm-hmm. If he just walked up to Sean Strickland, stopped backing up, and just started throwing bombs, there would be a better chance of Israel knocking him out than Sean.
Yeah, and
even with Sean being on point and having a better gas tank and being less beat up, I think Izzy wins that fight 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But when you're playing into Sean Strickland's hand, of course Sean Strickland's going to kick your ass.
Yeah, and
that's what he perfectly did. The whole fight, Sean Strickland set his traps, followed him, cut him off the cage, landed the 1-2s, landed the hooks.
Held pressure the entire time.
And won that fight.
I think it was Izzy. Yeah, Izzy sent a video to his fans afterwards. Mm-hmm. And he was sitting in a bus or something in his bus, and he had his glasses on. And he showed, and he was like, "Oh, it's not that bad. I've got a little bit of cut." And I was like,
his face looks so fucked up. It's one of the worst Izzy's looked in a fight.
Really?
Yeah, Izzy doesn't look like he get touched ever. But against Kelvin Gastelum, he was a lot worse, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I was saying that, and I was like, your face is even then it's not very fucked up at all. And I was kind of surprised because you had so much more room for movement. You could have gotten hit more. Yeah. If you wanted to hit Strickland more, you could have.
I'd never
you
would have
probably taken
That's
more.
why I love watching Shoot Box. I never understand the mentality. I'm not gonna get hit to get a trade back. Mm-hmm. I think being hit to get a trade back is worth it. If you can avoid getting hit, but if you can't hit them without getting hit, just get hit.
Yeah.
If it's not gonna be a bomb, if it's gonna be a jab or a cross that lands. Might as fucking.
You just have to accept it.
You just have to accept the fact that you're gonna get hit in the face.
He just wasn't. It was just it seemed like he was scared to get hit.
Yeah.
And it was just
annoying.
Some
people started making excuses immediately how it's a fluke, and I'm like,
No, it's
Every
not.
champion has bad days, but I don't think that was a bad day. I think Sean Strickland just was better.
Well, I've seen Izzy fight. That literally was just like how Izzy fights normally.
Yeah,
It just seemed like
just like how if Jared Cannonier just actually threw volume and pushed him to the cage and cut him off, and then was throwing the same way Sean Strickland won, he probably would have won that fight too.
yeah, but it was.
But
just
Sean
like,
Strickland actually had the game plan and executed it. He got in his own head in the second round because he was afraid of Izzy with the counters, and then Eric Nixick brought him back to the corner and said, "Do you want to lose a boring fucking decision?" And you could see Sean Strickland start screaming, get hyping himself up, and then he kicked his ass for the next 2 rounds.
God, it was just, dude. Watching Strickland fight is definitely unlike most fighters and any other fighter, to be honest, because it's
so different.
Every other fighter, like you have Izzy, when he walked out, he seemed like he was in his element.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was ready to go.
But
he
Sean
was
Strickland,
loose.
opposite.
He was ready. Dude, Sean Strickland walks in there.
Looks
he
nervous.
just looks like he was literally, while his thing was playing, it looked like he was going to war. Yeah. And it looked like stone cold face. He was just fucking hitting himself. He always does this. He just hits himself stone cold, no emotion at all. But he seemed, if anything, it seemed like he was
feeling the moment.
He was just fueled.
Yeah.
And he gets into it.
But another thing is, like, if you looked at him, like the face offs, etc., all that, he's very awkward, very like, and even he says that he's nervous before his fights. So I think he was locked in, but he started doubting himself in that second round, and then after it, he just said fuck all that and threw it to the wind.
Between every round, when you see him, like you said, he'd scream, he'd do this, whatever. He was just locked in. His coach would tell him something. He said, okay. And he would just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Izzy mentioned
Eric Nixick is an amazing coach. He coaches Manel Cape. He used to coach Francis Ngannou. He was Francis Ngannou's striking coach. And it's crazy because Eric Nixick walked into a UFC gym, an Extreme Couture, maybe, I don't know how many years ago, maybe like 6 to 8 years. He never had striking training. He was an NFL player. Came from NFL, walked into Extreme Couture, became a coach, and he's trained 2 full-fledged UFC champions, 2 African champions. And Sean Strickland and Francis Ngannou.
Sean Strickland, let's go. Oh my God. It's so crazy that just seeing him as the champion. And I know there's a solid chance that this is his last time being champion, his only time, because his next fight is more than likely going to be Khamzat Chimaev.
No, it won't.
You don't think so?
No, not even close.
Well, because Khamzat's going to fight Paulo next.
Khamzat's fighting at 185, but he's fighting Paulo Costa next. Where's Dracus going to go?
True.
Dracus Duplessis? He just beat Robert Whittaker, who's the number 1 contender.
So it might be, you think he'll fight?
I think he'd fight Dracus before he fought Khamzat, for sure.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
I don't believe Khamzat deserves a title shot. That's just me. The UFC pushes Khamzat more than Dracus, I think. So you might be right.
But he is good.
He's good, but he's not active.
Yeah, he is
inactive.
He makes excuses. I agree.
He's inactive. He's retired before. He's
Has
all
he?
over the... Yeah, there's a point when he got COVID and he freaked out and he's like, I'm retiring. And then came back a year later. These fighters, I don't respect these fighters that won't fight. That's why Sean Strickland's champion right now.
Yeah.
Because he's active. Because he refused to go no to a fight. He said, yeah, I'll fight him. Yeah, I'll fight him. Yeah, I'll fight Magomedov. Yeah, I'll fight whoever. I'll fight Jared Cannonier. And he would lose, and then he'd fight 2 to 3 months later. Because he doesn't care and he wants to fight. People who want to fight win championships. I'm not saying Israel Adesanya's not active, but...
He's not as active as Strickland.
As Strickland has been recently. There was a point where Israel was more active, but the really active fighters, they get like wins and they stay champions. So who knows? Maybe Sean Strickland stays champion. Maybe he does beat a guy in Khamzat Chimaev. Maybe because we still haven't seen Sean Strickland grapple.
That's and that's another thing he said.
And I still haven't seen Khamzat fight a competent grappler and beat them. Not once. Not a single competent grappler. The only competent grappler he's ever fought was Gilbert Burns, who walks around, used to be a lightweight, and he was fighting a guy in Khamzat who walks around at like 185, more than 185, like 200 pounds. So a guy who weighs like 175 and cuts 5 pounds to make welterweight was fighting a guy who was around 200 pounds.
That makes sense,
and in my opinion, I thought Gilbert Burns won that fight. So, and they didn't grapple at all. Khamzat couldn't get him to the ground. So I don't know where you go from there. Everyone likes to hype up Hamza. I'm kind of on Bo Nickel's page. Bo Nickel is a middleweight, and he's a former collegiate wrestler, won ton of championships, stuff like that. And he says Hamza's a bad wrestler. I don't think he's a bad wrestler from my point of view. Maybe from Bo Nickel's area, because I think it's folk style, a freestyle wrestler. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Hamzat's as good as everyone thinks. I think he's a physical beast. He's a monster, but he's a weight bully before. And I think he's going to get exposed when he fights Paulo Costa. I don't think he's going to get past him.
You might be right. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to fight
And I feel like when it
soon.
comes to Chimaev, he's interesting, but when it comes to Sean Strickland, what Sean Strickland literally said at the end of it, or on the post-fight interview, is he said, like, you know, we trained for wrestling. We did this, we did that. So, you know, and I'm sure Izzy probably trained for wrestling as well. And then he was like, he joked, he's like, but when you're a little fucking autistic and you're kind of stupid, you just go out and do it. And I'm like, well, okay, so
I knew Strickland wasn't going to wrestle.
Yeah, I knew too. But the thing was,
you put Strickland
I put submission because I thought that if he would win, it would be submission. I was not expecting him to go out and completely outclass him when it comes to striking. But Strickland literally says he wants to wrestle next time.
Yeah, you got to give Sean Strickland his flowers, though.
Yeah.
Congrats to Sean Strickland.
God, that was amazing. I'm so happy.
Long live the USA.
Next time we will see him grapple. I think that's what he said. He said he wants to because
he said it.
He says,
but we'll see.
No. He said people forget I can fight. Now I want to remind people that I can wrestle.
I know, but just wait till next fight. You're gonna see him just strike somebody. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So, all right.
Amazing card. I'm very happy. And next week is who is it?
Can't lie, I don't know.
It's some significant fight. I thought. Wait, I can see it right here.
I better go pull up it faster. No, it's right there. Krasov versus Shevchenko. Oh, that's a good card. Oh, Kevin Holland. That's what I'm watching for. The rest of them are not too. No, go back.
No, I know.
Which one are you looking for?
Oh, I'm thinking of 294.
That's not for a while.
Yeah, that is not for a while. That's in November.
Kevin Holland's fine though.
Yeah, that'll be fun
for that one.
So, all right. Well, we will see you guys then later in the week.
Me when Sean Strickland went.
That's literally was me. I was.
You lost your voice. I heard John screaming on the phone. I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. No, we were all fucking freaking out. But alrighty. Well, have a good night, guys.
Have a good one, guys.